Our whole society runs on rules. But have you ever thought about the rules that govern the rule makers themselves? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that invisible framework, the one that shapes everything, from the highest levels of government all the way down to the professionals you trust every single day.
I mean, really think about it for a second. What actually keeps your personal data safe when you give it to the government? What makes sure the experts you rely on are held to a super high standard? Well, the answer is this huge, complex web of rules that's quietly working in the background, shaping our world in ways we almost never see. Just try to picture it, a vast, intricate network of regulations. So today, we're going to take a journey through that web. We're starting way up high at the macro level of the entire national government. And then we're going to zoom in, layer by layer, to see how these rules touch everything from huge policy decisions right down to our own individual lives.
Okay, so our journey begins at the very top. We're talking about the laws that govern the government itself. It's kind of like the user manual for the whole country, right? A massive set of instructions designed to make sure things run with at least some kind of order and accountability. Let's look at a few key examples. So first up, we've got the Anti-Deficiency Act. This one is absolutely crucial. To put it simply, it stops government officials from spending money they don't have. It's the law that says you can't promise funds that Congress hasn't actually given you. It's basically the foundation of financial discipline for the entire federal government. Then there's the Ethics in Government Act. This one actually came out of the Watergate scandal, and it's all about preventing conflicts of interest. It makes public officials disclose their finances and puts really strict limits on what they can do, all to make sure they're acting for the public's good, not their own. And we can't forget the Whistleblower Protection Act. This is so important. It gives a critical shield to federal employees who have the courage to call out waste, fraud, or abuse when they see it. You see, these aren't just boring titles on a page. They're the actual gears that keep our government accountable, giving people the power to speak up without fearing for their jobs.
So let's break it down. What do these dense-sounding laws really mean? The Anti-Deficiency Act? It stops officials from running up a tab on our dime. The Ethics in Government Act? That's the rulebook for stopping corruption. The Whistleblower Protection Act? It's got the back of people who speak out. And the Government in the Sunshine Act? That's what keeps most government meetings open to us, the public. Each one has a really clear, vital job to do.
All right, let's zoom in a bit. We're moving from the government as a whole to a law that affects each and every one of us directly, the Privacy Act of 1974. This is a huge deal for our personal privacy. It basically governs how federal agencies can collect, use, and share our personal info. Now, to really get the Privacy Act, you have to understand this one key term: system of records. It sounds technical, but it's pretty simple. The law basically says it's any group of records an agency has where they can find your information by using your name or some other identifier, like your social security number. So in short, it's your official file. The Privacy Act gives you some pretty powerful rights. First, you can actually ask to see your own records and get a copy of whatever an agency has on you. Second, if you look at that file and see something that's not accurate, not relevant, or just incomplete, you can ask them to fix it. And third, you have the right to know who they've shared your information with. And these aren't just nice suggestions. They are your legally protected rights. So what you have here is this really important balance of power. On one hand, government agencies have responsibilities. They can only keep info that's relevant and necessary, and they have to keep it secure. But on the other hand, we as individuals have rights: the right to see our records, the right to correct them, and even the right to take legal action if an agency messes up. It's a two-way street, and it's written right into the law. Okay, let's get even more granular. We're zooming in again. We've seen the rules for the government, but what about the rules designed to protect us from the very experts we're supposed to trust? For this, we're going to drill down to the micro level and look at certified public accountants, or CPAs. This quote really just says it all. The rules for CPAs aren't just about making sure they can crunch numbers correctly. No, it's about something much bigger: maintaining public trust. We have to feel confident that the people handling our most sensitive financial information are not only good at their jobs, but are also ethical and up to date. And how do they do that? Through mandatory continuing education, which is split into two big buckets. You've got the technical fields, which are exactly what you'd expect: auditing, tax law, IT. But here's the really interesting part: the non-technical fields. This includes courses on things like communications, personal development, and even behavioral ethics. It shows that being a real pro is about so much more than technical skill. It's also about integrity and how you interact with people. And this is what's so cool. These professional standards aren't stuck in the past. They're constantly changing to keep up with the world. I mean, look at this. Today's CPAs are taking courses on artificial intelligence, ESG and sustainability, blockchain, and even diversity, equity, and inclusion. It proves that to keep the public stressed, you have to stay on the cutting edge of both technology and society.
Okay, so we've gone from these huge nation-spanning laws to the nitty-gritty of our data privacy and all the way down to the specific rules for a single profession. So now let's zoom back out and connect all the dots to see the big picture. I mean, at first glance, these things seem like they're from totally different worlds, right? Federal law, your personal data, and what your accountant has to study for a test. So what's the common thread that weaves through all of them? Well, it really all boils down to three fundamental ideas. First, trust, making sure we can have confidence in our institutions and in the experts we rely on. Second, accountability, creating clear consequences when things go wrong. And finally, protection, protecting our rights, our data, and all of our interests as a society. Look, our world is changing faster than ever. New technologies, new challenges pop up all the time. And these frameworks we've been talking about are more important than they've ever been. They're what provide that trust, accountability, and protection that a healthy society needs. So that leaves us with one critical final question. In a world that's changing this fast, how do we make sure the rules can keep up?